Let's get a quick take on the news breaking on Friday morning that White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon is out. Ed Sealer from the Denver Business Journal. I got to say, this is one of the most entertaining reality shows I've ever watched. You have drama, you have people leaving the island. It has everything you really want out of a reality TV show. When you hear about this headline, Steve Bannon out, were you surprised?
Not really. It follows in the path of what John Kelly did shortly after becoming chief of staff to oust Anthony Scaramucci. I mean, Kelly's a more low-profile type of person. He has now gotten rid of two people who really wanted to seek the limelight. In fact, wanted to seek the limelight over their boss, the president, in many ways. The trick with Kelly is that he's got a boss who really wants to seek the limelight, and it will be interesting to see if without Bannon, without Scaramucci, without some of these guys, he can rein in Trump at all, or if that's going to be a task too big for him. David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. We're about to talk about everything that went down about Charlottesville. Do you think this final ousting comes from a product of that? Was that the final straw, or was this a long time coming and it just happened to be this part of the calendar?
I think a long time coming, because he's probably accurately suspected as being a major leaker, and obviously beyond dispute a cause of some of the dysfunction at Department of Defense and Department of State, and of him trying to micromanage that. And that's why we don't have the assistant secretaries in place at those departments currently. Years ago, Independence Institute had Andrew Breitbart out as a speaker, the founder of course, the Breitbart.com website, and he was a little more intense than my taste, but a really sincere and I think good person. And then after he died unexpectedly and the site was bought by Bannon, what the Breitbart website has become is just disgusting and horrible and an atrocity to the memory of its founder. So Bannon, of course, being the perpetrator of that.
Craig Silverman, attorney with Silverman & Olivas, and talk show host on KNUS every Saturday morning. Craig, you've been a long time on with the media as a Trump supporter. You hear Steve Bannon is out. Happy, sad, indifferent? What's your reaction?
It's expected. First of all, Donald Trump said Steve Bannon had nothing to do with his Charlottesville reaction. It appears that this firing was in the works for a couple of weeks. And when he called him, Mr. Bannon the other day, that you knew that he was probably going to be gone. Look, the guy was a racial provocateur in a way. I'm not sure he's a racist, but he did clash with Javanka. By that I mean Jared and Ivanka. And whereas a lot of people come and go from the West Wing, those two are still there, Jared and Ivanka, and they're saying, bye-bye, Mr. Bannon.
Mary McCarthy, Denver bureau chief with Feature Story News. So what do you think? Should we just get used to seeing people coming out of the administration every few weeks, or does this stop the bleeding because this was such a high-level ouster?
I think that there's still a lot of questions, as much as it was expected that there was obviously there's lots of power play going on between Kushner and the various other people at the head alongside Trump in the White House. Why did Steve Bannon leak this interview to the American Prospect? Not really leak. He spoke to this journalist, said lots of provocative things, turning against the far right, who he himself had sympathized with, stoked a lot of their enthusiasm up until recently, and then claimed that he didn't know that he was speaking to a journalist who was going to report that. The most media-savvy person in America, Steve Bannon, or one of the most media-savvy people. So there's a lot of questions. Will he be working behind the scenes with Donald Trump? Is this some other sort of strategy? I think that we really don't know. And did Bannon orchestrate this own ouster of himself? I think that's one of the questions we need to be asking.